Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be looking at a certain style of painting that I am not comfortable with, but some of you may be. So join me today as I explore the unknown in mixed media art. I want to start a series of hymn art, and so the first one that I chose, I thought it would be safe to work with, is the trees of the fields, and this is all about how they clapped their hands. Before we get started, I ask that you hit the subscribe button at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen if you are enjoying the content on this channel. Don't forget to also give me a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. In starting this project, I knew that I was going to have to source out some hymnals that were going to be disposed of or thrown away so that I could reuse them for the purpose of art and glorifying God. I started by cutting out the particular hymn that I was going to use, the Trees of the Fields. It's a very interesting hymn, and it's written interestingly as well from a musical standpoint. And if you ever get a chance, go ahead and look up a YouTube video of it. I've linked one down below. In starting this project, I wasn't 100% sure of what direction I wanted to go in, so I'm going to do my best to try and talk you through this. I start by creating a sky on the top with some purple and blues, and then I'm going to move into more lighter blues and more whites as it gets towards the bottom. For those of you that may be newer to painting or newer to acrylic painting anyway, all I'm doing right now is blocking in color. I'm using the same blue. The only difference is I'm adding a little bit more white to it if I want it lighter, or I'm adding a little bit more purple to it if I want it darker. In addition, I'm making sure that I am blending this color with the wet paint that's already on the canvas. So when I put down new color, it's not new color by itself, but yet it is easily blendable into the wet paint already on the canvas. I have not actually washed my brush through this entire process, and I'm allowing the color that's in my brush and the color on the canvas to really influence the white that I'm putting on the canvas. Now with the background complete, I can move on to staging out the music on my actual canvas. I have not added any adhesive yet. I wanted to stage out different ways that I can arrange the music on the canvas and to see which one looks best. So now that I have the music arranged the way I kind of like it on the canvas, I'm going to start with some Mod Podge. I'm going to flip over that top stanza and start coating the back of it with Mod Podge. Now, this is the part that most of you experienced crafters and mixed media artists are going to cringe at. Please remember, this is my first time working with mixed media in any way, shape, or form, and so this is a trial and error kind of concept. I've realized that I have to continue to add Mod Podge on the bottom. I start coating the top, then it starts to wrinkle. So again, trial and error for me. When I get to the bottom, I think I've kind of mastered the technique. If you are a mixed media artist, I'd appreciate some help in the comments below. Definitely leave some comments on how I could best adhere hymnal paper to canvas. So here's the final line of music. What I ended up doing was I started with a nice chunk of Mod Podge at the beginning, put the beginning of the paper down, and began to layer the Mod Podge underneath it, slowly piecing it down and pushing it down with my hands, and then making a top coat of Mod Podge over the top of the music. Again, probably not the best or proper way to do it, but this is the only way I could figure out how to do it. Next, I wanted to go ahead and blend some of that paper in with the background, so I've added some high gloss medium to my paint to make it nice and chunky, and I started to blend in some of those blues and whites back into the background, allowing it to cover part of the paper of the hymnal. Now here is where my issues come into play. I like nice clean lines, and so I really had to force myself out of my comfort zone to give a nice messy look for this paper to really fit into the background. I was able to start achieving this really messy, thick, gloopy paint look on my canvas by adding tons of high gloss medium to my paint pigment and then just kind of slapping it onto the canvas and letting it go. Doing it this way actually helped cover up the line that the paper made when it was glued onto the canvas. Now, I do want to give you fair warning in advance before the next part happens. I didn't realize that this was a tiny bit out of frame when I was filming, so you may have to bear with me in the next few minutes, but I started my trees with a very small liner brush and some watered down brown and black mixed together. I've done several painting parties and classes where we've done trees, and I always get the question, how do I make my trees look so organic? There is a couple of things you can do. The first thing you can do is to pull the brush, not push the brush. So when you are pulling a branch, you are pulling from the base of the branch or the tree root all the way up to the end. You're not pushing the brush up, you are pulling it. And by doing so, you're able to taper the end of the branch and make it skinnier and skinnier as you lift your brush up. The second thing you can do is have the correct brush and the correct paint consistency. Those two things are key. If you have a liner brush or a nice round brush, those two things will help you create beautiful branches. The second thing is your paint consistency. It should be a nice, thick, creamy soup consistency. The third thing you can do is to consistently reload your brush. Now, if you've been watching this entire time, you've noticed I've reloaded my brush multiple times, and I have reached over to get more water to water down my paint with. Once you have those three things in place, you have the basics for creating tree branches. Finally, let's work on the shape of your tree branch. The fourth thing that you need to know about tree branches is that tree branches don't all come in the same size or the same shape. They're all different in the way that they bend and then the way they crook. In the same way, each tree has different characteristics for their branches. So as you can see, I treat each branch individually. As I pull a branch, I see that I've made a bump here or there, and I use that bump to pull another branch off of that one. Now that most of my branches are in, I'm going to go ahead and lay the foundation for the leaves on the tree. I want these trees to be nice and colorful, so I'm going to start with a deeper purple base. Now that the shadows are laid, I'm going to come in with a dull crimson color to really block out some more color before I put in some highlights. Also, for those of you who are new to painting, I am using a round bristle brush. Bristle brushes tend to not give as much as regular brushes do, and that will give me a nice, beautiful random leaf pattern. In between these colors, I have washed my brush, and I am going straight into the pure crimson color, and that is going to give me the brightness that I'm looking for in my trees. Notice how I'm continuing to reload my brush every few dabs or so. That's to make sure that the color stays fresh, bright, and pure. Next, I'm going to add some dimension to these trees by adding white to my crimson color, and I'm just going to hit a few spots here and there. I'm not at the highlight stage yet, but this is going to show that there is some dimension to the trees. Wait about 5 minutes before adding this final highlight color, just so that the paint has time to dry on the canvas. I've taken a little bit of yellow, added it to a lot of white, and I'm going and hitting the tops of where I want the light to hit my trees. Now that my trees are done, I'm going to go ahead and map out where I want my wording. I'm going to use a very watered down white color. It's easier to remove white than it is a darker color, so I'm just going to outline where I want my words. Next, I'm going to go in with a round brush in watered down black, and I'm going to trace over where I had mapped out my words and kind of put a more definite area where they are. The next few parts is all about layering. Once I got the initial black down, I went back in with more defined black and started layering in some extra thick and pure black on top of those words. That way they start to pop. For the next layer, I started with a white yellow color. I just layered it right on top. I didn't worry about staying in the lines that I had just defined. I wanted to make this kind of a messy look, and so I just quickly wrote on top of the black with this yellow. For this next layer, I went back to the black just to give it a more defined look, and the final layer is just going to be a highlight. For the highlight, I just took some white on my round brush and I just hit the tops of these letters. I did not do the entire letter. I just wanted to give it more of a pop of color over the top of it and let the black and the yellow shine through below. To add to the overall look to this, I went ahead and dabbed some loose paint on the canvas. I just watered it down, put it on my bristle brush, and tapped my bristle brush against another brush to get a more dotted look. After I finished that, I came in with some iridescent glitter. I wanted to add a little bit of pop and a little bit of shine without being overwhelming. After knocking off the excess glitter, here is the final result. As you guys know, this is not my style of painting, so I'm not completely happy with this one, but I think it looks pretty cool. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Want to see more? Subscribe here to my YouTube channel and turn on the notifications so you are notified every time I drop a video. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all the latest updates and paintings. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.